Hi guys, welcome back. Okay, let's continue with what we were doing and make our admin bar look even more presentable. We're now going to tackle this yellow button, this priority button here, which could be anything from a close admin bar to opening new window or new post, something like that. It's just a question of styling really. We have most of the markup already sorted out of course. And then we'll tackle this little notifications alert there. So if I open it up in the browser, remind ourselves what we have so far. This is what we're going to be dealing with. And if we take a look at the finished product, that's what it's going to end up looking like. And there we have our little alert as well. Okay, so let's open our project again. This is the markup. First thing we're going to need to do is find our button and give it a class so we can identify it properly. A priority, that's going to be the class name. So we'll save that, and then we can start adding some styling to it. The most obvious styles, of course, being the colours that we're looking at. So we'll begin by just laying out a couple of styles. One for the anchor itself, and then one for the hover state. Okay, so I'll change the border colour for a kickoff. And the background colour. More copying and pasting, I'm afraid, but it's fairly clear what I'm doing. The border we've changed to a different colour, which you can grab from the PSD, and the same with the background colour. Let's grab that, see how that's changed things. And now already that's made a significant difference. The default grey that we used for the anchor tag, that's perfectly visible on the pale yellow. We need to change the hover state though. Make things a little bit clearer. So we'll change the colour and the border and the background colour. Sorry, not the background colour, just the colour and the border. We're going to start getting a little bit, there we go. And of course, with it already having been styled as one of our controls, it has that drop shadow underneath as well. Okay, looking good. Now if we compare that to this one, you'll notice there's a little difference, that really being just the gradient in the background. So we're now going to apply that with some CSS3 styling. So I've got this already prepared. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just put it in basic. CSS3 syntax, simple as that. Background image is actually what it is. Oh sorry, that's under the wrong, it's not under the hover state, it should be there underneath the background colour. Browsers which don't support the gradient will just use this background colour as the default, so that's no problem. This is the CSS3 syntax, no specific browser vendors there, but we'll deal with that in a second. And you can see that we're moving from this colour to this colour. It's as simple as that, and we're starting at the top there. So really the only thing we need to deal with, if I just have a look at that, we'll firstly see how Chrome deals with it. It doesn't. The only thing we need to deal with is all the various browser prefixes, which can be a bit of a pain. So I'm going to show you a couple of resources firstly. Firstly I'll just copy that, which we'll use as a demonstration in a second. Now CSS3 Please is a really cool resource by Paul Irish, and it has all kinds of CSS3 rules with all the various browser vendor prefixes added onto them. You can edit things on the fly and see them change in this little demo here on the right. So it's really handy, and then once you've figured out what colours you're dealing with, you can copy and paste that into your CSS. So that's very useful. Alternatively, you could go over to prefixer.com, which has been developed by our own Jeffrey Way. This basically takes your basic syntax, whatever you have. We have this for a kickoff, and then it prefixes it with all the various browser prefixes. It's extremely handy, so we could just go and grab that now and paste that in as it is. we're going to do that, and then that will be nicely sorted. There we go, just shunt that over, make it look a little bit neater. What am I doing? There we go, and we'll save that. One last option would be for the Leah Veru, excuse me Leah if I haven't said that, pronounced your name properly, but if you head on over to her GitHub prefix free little JavaScript plugin, you don't even need to bother with any of the prefixes in your CSS. You can include the JavaScript in your file and it will deal with all that for you. That keeps your CSS looking an awful lot cleaner for the time being while it's all unsupported. Anyway, we've used prefixer.com and we've figured out our prefixes, so we'll just refresh that in the browser and you can see that that's dealt with gradients very nicely. Okay, so now we need to have a look at our little alert and our notifications button. So we'll use the existing styling. Firstly, we need to actually add some kind of element here. We'll give it a number 5. That's what we're going to be highlighting. We need to give it a class. So firstly, we'll give it a class of priority, which is going to then inherit those styles we've just defined, the gradient and the colors. That will make it presentable. Then we need to give it another style. If I just demonstrate that to begin with, we'll reset that. That shows you our extra little span in there. So it's taken on the style, but we now need to add some positioning and some dimensions to it in order to get it looking like this. So we'll add another class and we'll call that notice, save that, and then we'll start adding some notice styling in our CSS. Put that up here. Okay. Now, fairly crucially, it's going to be positioned absolutely within our anchor there. Our anchors, of course, we already, I'll find it up here somewhere, we already gave a position of relative, which means we can start positioning other things within that absolutely. So this is going to be positioned absolutely top -14, so it's going to be shunted upwards, and it's going to be shunted over from the right by 5 pixels, giving it some padding on the right and left, and determined its height and its line height at 17 pixels. We'll just make it, the font size a little bit smaller than the existing 14 pixels, which it currently is. So we'll make that 10 pixels, and we'll make it bold just to give it a little bit more weight. Lastly, we'll change the color because that default light grey isn't going to be quite visible enough. It needs to be a little bit more impacting. Last thing we need to do is add some border radius. Not 3 pixels because that's going to look too rounded on our little object here. So I'll once again grab that and demonstrate the Prefixer web app. It's as good a time as any to just demonstrate this a couple of times. And there we go. We've already covered border radius, but it's quite handy to just show you that again. Alright, so that covers our WebKit and our Mozilla older browsers. Okay, that's all we're going to do for the time being. I'm just going to save that, bring back our demo and refresh the page. Okay, and you can instantly see that's got the positioning just the way we want it. We could do with some kind of hover state so that it reacts a little bit when we hover over. That would be nice. So let's do that now. So we're going to add a hover state. It won't actually be to that notice itself because you're not likely to go and hover over that tiny little notice. So we're actually going to change the state of it when we hover over the parent button. So that states that if we hover over the anchor, which is the parent of that notice, we're going to just change its position slightly by shunting it a further 2 pixels upwards, and we'll darken it up a little bit as well. No, we won't. Sorry, I didn't change the colour at all. There we go. Refresh, and you'll see it just bob up to the top there. We can smoothen that up a little bit by adding a transition, so we add that to the notice itself. Again, I tell you what, I'll just add a transition using CSS3 syntax, and then we'll go and use prefixer again to take care of all that. So what I've done here is applied a transition to all its properties, or I could just apply it to the position, that would be fine as well. And I've dictated the duration of that transition to be 0.1 second and given it an easing of ease out just to affect the way it moves. So let's copy that. Once again, go back to prefixer and we'll copy that into there, hit prefixize, and there are all our prefixes neatly arranged for us there. There we go, just present that a little better. So now, upon hovering, the new hover state will be applied in a very smooth way. And you can see it there animating its way up to the top. Cracking. Alright, that's pretty much it for the time being, I think. Just check through there. I've gone through all these prefixing tools. Yes, that's it. So in the next video, we're going to cover the search bar and take things even further. Great. Thanks for watching.